guys, Stella here with Remax Niagara. So today guys, I want to share with you 5 tips for buyers and sellers and why I think it's so important that you are aware of these tips before you even get started in the process of buying or selling. So we're going to get into it right away, but really quick disclaimer is this is going to be a simple conversation. I'm not going to sound robotic or anything like that. I don't have any scripts. I've just kind of written down a couple little notes. And so I'm just going to basically have a conversation with you one-on-one, personally, just to kind of go over these things. And if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. You can comment down below on this video, or you can email me or text me, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get more information on this. Okay, so let's get started right away. Number 1, get an agent who's full-time. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. I've had people come up to me and say, yeah, you know, I'm working with Sally from so-and-so Realty. You know, she's like a friend of ours. Oh, cool. Like, you know, how is Sally doing? Well, you know, she's got another job. And so it's kind of tough to, you know, get a hold of her. And it's a very difficult conversation to have with somebody, but I'm just going to say this in the most nicest way I can, is you want to work with somebody, or you want to work with an agent who is in the trenches every single day. They know the ups and downs of the market. They know what's happening in the economy. They are up to date with interest rates, mortgage changes, you know, what's happening with insurance changes, whatever the case is, right? You need somebody who is in it all the way. Like you can't risk having somebody who only knows half of it, right? They're not even, maybe a quarter of it, because they're busy. Their mind is in the job, right? They're probably there at the job for so-and-so hours, and they're probably tired. They don't want to come back and read up on real estate or you know, meet clients and stuff like that. They're probably just using this either as a part-time, you know, cash bonus, or they're using it as or maybe they started and they realized that, you know what, it's really difficult. And so they ended up having to get a job at the same time. So these types of things should give you an idea already on, you know, the agent's ability, right? Or the agent's motive, right? So I would highly recommend that if you are one of these people that are just using a part-time agent, I would highly recommend that you have an honest conversation with that person. Don't just kind of go, you know, behind their back. I would say have an honest conversation and say, listen, if you were me, would you be willing to risk one of the greatest assets or biggest assets that you'll ever purchase in your life? I love you as a friend. I love you as a family person, but I really have to do what's right for me. And I really hope that you can understand that and take them out for dinner or something, right? I mean, you really have to protect yourself in this, because trust me, I have seen it. I have heard of many stories where things have gone wrong. They forgot to put something in the offer, or you know, who knows? And on top of it, if you're one of those people that are relying on your own knowledge, you know, like there's clients out there, or there's people out there, let's just say, that think they know the real estate market because they're reading it online. You know, they've sold a few homes themselves. And so they just need an agent that will do the paperwork for them, and that's all they need, right? As much as I respect your ability to absorb knowledge, you don't have all the knowledge, right? And I'm saying that respectfully because there are a lot of very knowledgeable people out there. I meet them every day, and I respect, you know, that they take their time and they get to know these things, because you know what, it makes my life a lot easier. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand that the full-time agents, they're in the trenches every single day. Even though you read things online, you do realize it's all clickbait. Everything that you see on news or on you know, media, they try to grab your attention. That's the whole idea of media, is to get your attention. So not everything is really what they say, right? When you talk to an agent who's in the trenches every day, they know what they're talking about, right? They know what's selling. They know if this area is having a bidding war. They know if, you know, what mortgage changes are going to end up happening. Like, your agents have this. And if you have a good agent, they're out there trying to get more and more information so that they are aware for you, right? And they're reading and they're gaining knowledge. Like for me, myself, like, I don't, as much as I love working with mortgage brokers, I do my own research and I've actually taken the course, right? So that I'm aware. And on top of it, with builders, right? I love builders. They're great. And I want to eventually become one maybe. But I bought the builder manual and I'm reading it, right? And I'm trying to understand it fully because I want to make sure that I have the whole idea for my clients, and I'm doing that on my free time, right? So, and I'm doing that for my clients so that I know how to advise them. But you got to be in it full time. You can't be in it just part time, right? So please have those conversations and please do the right thing for you and your future. All it takes is one decision and it can impact your entire life. Number 2, always work with a local agent. So this is a big one because I've seen this a lot where Toronto or wherever up north agents will come down here, they'll list it or they'll represent buyers. Okay, when you're an agent and you come from a different area, it's different pricing. So if I take a house from Niagara Falls that's worth $600,000 and I plop it in Toronto, you and I both know that that $600,000 home in Niagara is not the same price as it is in Toronto, right? So it's the same thing with the Toronto agent coming here. They see that property and they have the mentality of Toronto pricing. So guess what? When you come down here and you want a good deal, they're gonna tell you, oh man, that's such a good deal, when really that area isn't that good and it's actually worth $500,000, right? So now you've overpaid. If you can afford the overpayment, hey, go for it, But for my clients, I want to make sure that I get them the best price, the most accurate price, because it just makes them that more ahead in life, right? Why would you pay an additional $100,000? It's like you're losing $100,000, and now you got to pay it off, and it's going to take longer to pay off, and it just doesn't make any sense, right? So you want to work with an agent who is aware of the area. So that's why you want to work with local. If there are agents out there that are driving all the way to Toronto and trying to make it work, okay, I know everybody's situation is different, but you are doing an injustice to your client. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't mean any disrespect, but you are doing an injustice to your client. Unless you know the area, I would not recommend doing that. I would say work with a local agent, refer the business out, make some really good relationships, and you'll see that like when you work together, you guys can do a lot more when there's two, right? So that's number 1. Always work with a local agent. And even if you're an investor, for investors, I would say always work with a local agent, because here's the thing, investor, is when you're living in Toronto and you're investing, or maybe you're out in the States, wherever you are, and your agent is where you're living, but you've invested in a different area, they don't want to drive all the way down here. And they're going to say, listen, you don't pay me for that, right? It takes like 3 hours out of your day just driving, right? And so they could be doing that to get other clients or working on their business. That's that's in a way, in essence, wasting their time. But when you work with a local agent, that's what, maybe a half an hour. They check up for you. They make sure the tenants are doing good. And I can't speak for all agents. That's just what I do for my clients, is I will go and check up on the tenant, make sure everything is okay. I will, if my client needs something being picked up or whatever the case is from different properties, whatever it is, I will go out there and I will do that. And I'm not even a property manager. I do that for my clients because that's just what I do, right? I just like to give that service and make sure that my clients are doing good, right? And then number 3, trust your agent. Are they transactional or do they care? So a lot of people are not aware of transactional agents. Maybe you are. If you're one of them, good for you. That's pretty good. A lot of transactional agents seem like they care, but they're actually transactional. So I'm going to make a video on that to explain the difference. But I really want the consumer to understand you need to trust your agent. And I know that seems very like, yeah, okay, we get it, right? There are agents that will bully you into a conversation or into a decision. Okay, I've seen it. And I'm sorry, but if you're being talked to that way, I mean, that's not a good relationship to have. You as a homeowner or a home buyer you've got enough stress, right? And you really, really don't need that kind of additional stress or additional, pushiness, or always being on your toes, not sure whether you can trust that person or not. Why would you get into a relationship or a business relationship with somebody like that? You wouldn't do that, right? Um, so, and some people even, just because of the brand or the logo, or, maybe it was like the first thing that they saw, always make sure that you can trust them. Go with your gut, right? A lot of people, and a lot of females can do this, is go with your gut. And men, if your wife says, hey, you know what, I really don't like this idea, try to kind of look into it a little bit before you make a quick decision, right? And number 4, age and experience is just a number. So I'm going to try and say this as nicely as I can. I don't mean to offend anybody. But when it comes to resale, and resale is basically a property that has already been lived in at least once. Okay, so you're reselling it. So it's a resale property. Okay. And I would say, in my opinion, resale is probably the lowest level of knowledge that a real estate agent should have. I mean, hey, there's agents that just do resale. Awesome, like good for you, like that's awesome, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's the, I would say, the bottom of knowledge. Like, you don't need to be a genius in real estate to know how to sell resale, okay? And I know that there are very experienced agents out there with 40 years experience, 30 years experience, which is fantastic. And if they go through a house, they go, hey, you know what, I've seen this before. You don't need an inspector, right? If somebody says that, well, that's already a red flag, because you can't go off of, as much as they've got experience, you can't go off of their word. I would highly recommend that you get an inspection done, because those inspectors will see beyond what the eye can see. And then at least you have it on paper, and somebody at least is liable, right? At least you can, and you can make a proper decision. If you think that 5 years down the road something's gonna happen here, then maybe you've got a different idea on buying that property, right? Or maybe you adjust the price, whatever the case may be, right? So age and experience is just a number. Age is a big one for me because I look a lot younger than I am. And so a lot of times people don't think I know much about real estate, or they think I'm really new, whatever the case is, right? And but you can't go off of the age, because since I was 19, I was reading creative investing books. I was already investing in real estate, obviously not with my own money. I didn't have that much money. I was still in university, but I worked with my dad. I would find him properties. I would, rent them out, all that kind of stuff. So I've got that ambition, or that desire for real estate. And so because of it, I've received knowledge a lot sooner, and even experience a lot sooner before I even got my license. So you want to kind of look into that as well. Don't always go with the age, because there could be somebody who's, let's say, 50 years old, and they just got into real estate and they're just learning. And, so you can't really go off of that. You got to go off of knowledge and service. That's the biggest thing, is you want to make sure somebody takes care of you and they know what they're talking about. They've been in the industry at least 3 to 5 years, right? At least, right? For resale, I would say 3, but for anything else, you want to make sure that they're, like investment, for instance, you want to make sure that they've got some experience, right? Yeah. And then number 5, you want to communicate with your agent. So buyers and sellers, always communicate with your agent and let them know exactly what you're thinking. Like I have a seller that says, you know what, I don't want to be pushed. If I want to leave it on the market the way I want to leave it, then I want to leave it that way. And I said, okay, that's fine. I've had sellers where I've left it on the market for 8 to 10 months. They said, listen, I'm not in a rush, right? I just want to get the price that I want. And so I let them do it, right? For me, for instance, it doesn't look good on my track record, right? Because as agents, we have these report cards, and people can see kind of how well you produce and things like that. So, it may not look good for me, but I'm okay with that. If I have like a seller, we list it and it takes a little while, I don't mind, right? It doesn't hinder me in any way. I'm not in a rush to gain that commission, because I have other things going on in real estate, like other clients, right? So, and that's the biggest thing, right? Is you want to make sure that you communicate that. There might be some, agents that will refuse that. and that's okay. Then you kind of just move on, right? Um, and yeah, so and again, also, and if you're in a rush, there have been people that have not been completely honest or transparent with everything that's going on, and so that kind of hindered a lot of things for me, because if I would have known, then I would have been able to advise them differently. But again, if you're hiding things from your agent because you don't trust that they're going to do their ultimate best, no matter with what information they have, that's a red flag. That's an issue. I don't know if it's an issue with just you yourself, or that maybe the agent's not good, whatever the case may be. But look into it, because when you need to be transparent and honest with your agent, and you got to make sure that you can trust them, which is tip number 3. Make sure that you trust them, because that is the ultimate. Like, if you can't trust somebody, then there's no point in doing it, because you're gonna get screwed up one way or another, whether it's now or later. You just can't. If you can't trust, it's not there. So communicate, and make sure that that's all there. So those are basically 5 tips. I know that I kind of ranted, and but I just wanted to have a really good communication or a conversation with you guys on that. And if you have any questions, let me know. But I'd be more than happy to talk further about it if you'd like, and kind of go into more detail about my experiences with different people in this category. I've met a lot of people, and I can kind of see where the trajectory of where they're heading. Not because I'm that I know everything or anything like that. It's just that based off of real estate and what I've been dealing with. I'm a full-time agent. I'm in the trenches every single day. I've built my business from nothing. I've had, I haven't had much help or mentoring since I started. Nobody to blame. It's just that, that's just how it was. And now there's a lot more, things that you can kind of build up on, which is, nothing wrong with that, right? It's great. But I had to learn it organically and build myself up and create my clientele and all that kind of stuff. So, and I stuck it through, right? And many people, when they start a business, they don't even last. Maybe I think it's 3 years or 5 years. I think it's probably 3 years. And so you want to make sure that you work with somebody who is in it to win it, and they want to win it for you. And they're not in it just for themselves, but they're in it to make sure that you end up in a better position than you were before. And that comes with a good, trustworthy, ambitious, honest agent. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being part of the conversation. And again, don't forget to subscribe, and I will be back for more, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks.